Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit-Down. That's right, folks. We are still chilling in the comic book corner as Avengers Infinity War has finally arrived and is just dominating the universe, thus dominating conversation all weekend long. I, of course, got my non-spoiler review out about the movie on Thursday after seeing it on opening night. Now we've kind of let a few days go by so the rest of you could go and see this movie, and a ton of people have. I've mentioned that I wanted to do a spoiler review, but there's just so much in this movie. I don't know how to do that in a way that would be concise. So instead, I've opted to make, individual spoiler videos. So we've already put out, we've got a couple that are out, we've got my top 5 scenes, we've got my top 10 comic book moments, and we continue on the list concept with another top 5 for you here. So you know the drill. Pull up a chair and take a seat. Today, I'm going to give you my top 5 favorite characters from Avengers Infinity War. And as always, in my lists, I've done 2 and I haven't cheated, so by the third one, I kind of have to cheat a little bit. We do have an honorable mention, so let's start there. Our honorable mention is Bruce Banner and the Hulk, played by Mark Ruffalo. And I say honorable mention because there's not a ton for Banner or Hulk to do in the movie. They both have real nice scenes. Hulk has just probably one of the most iconic sequences in the movie itself, with his fight that he has with Thanos at the very beginning, which I love. And I love that Thanos disposes of him really quickly. It was one of those things we heard the rumors we were going to get Hulk versus Thanos, and we do, and it's awesome. And then we're done with Hulk. We are done with Hulk in this movie like 2 minutes in. But it's one of the things that I love about the character and why he does get the honorable mention here on the list. The thing we all know is with the red tape involving Universal, Marvel can't make a solo Hulk movie. So Feige said, after talking to Ruffalo between Ragnarok, Avengers Infinity War, and Avengers 4, they would give a full arc for Bruce Banner and Hulk. And that is totally happening. We are advancing his story arc, and that's why he's the honorable mention. It's one of the things I love about the movie is the way they utilize Banner and Hulk. Like I said, we get this kick-ass Hulk action sequence right at the beginning that leads him to be teleported down to Earth, where he crashes through the Sanctum Sanctorum. Very, very iconic scene from the comics involving Silver Surfer. We've adapted it to utilize a member that we can with the Hulk, and it works perfectly. And in that moment itself, you already know a bunch of things that are new about Hulk and Banner. Look, when we got to the end of Age of Ultron, or when we got to the end of Avengers, we realized that Banner can now call Hulk anytime he wants. By the time we get to the end of Age of Ultron, Hulk has the ability to suppress Banner for 2 full years. He completely subdues Banner, allows him to grow, allows him to learn how to speak and talk and communicate, and become a little bit smarter but still childish. Then, of course, by the end of Ragnarok, Hulk has been suppressed and Banner does show back up, and Banner doesn't remember the last 2 years. He has no recollection of anything the Hulk has been doing. And of course, he kind of hints at the fact toward the end of the movie that if he becomes Hulk again, Banner might never come back because Banner can be suppressed by Hulk. Of course, he turns into Hulk, and thus we see him at the beginning of the movie. But when he crashes into the Sanctorum, he turns into Banner. Classic Hulk, right? Crash through a building, leave Banner on the floor. But when we get to that shot and we come into the Sanctum, Banner says, Thanos is coming. And this is a huge line because of what it means for the characters. To this point, Banner and Hulk have never been able to communicate with each other, and they don't remember what the other one does. So the fact that Banner is the one that says Thanos is coming, and Banner had no interaction with Thanos, he was Hulk the entire time, means that now Banner is conscious of whatever the Hulk is seeing and vice versa. That's huge for Banner and Hulk's character arc. It also sets up this awesome bit throughout the entire movie where Banner goes to call upon Hulk, and Iron Man's like, "You're making me look stupid in front of the wizards, Bruce, like, let's go." And he's like, "I can't call him." They've kind of essentially given Banner male impotency, but it's for bringing Hulk out. And that pops up through the whole movie. So we get to see this awesome stuff. We get to see Mark Ruffalo having a ton of fun playing Bruce Banner. In the battle sequences, he wears the Hulkbuster armor, which is great. I love seeing that. And like I said, Ruffalo's reactions inside the suit. Oh my God, this is so much fun. Like, I just love that Ruffalo is getting to have a ton of fun in a movie that is a lot of not fun as far as what's happening to our characters. The movie, of course, is a ton of fun all around. But inside of the movie, not too much fun for our main characters as they fight Thanos, but Ruffalo has so much fun. And then we get one more moment that I absolutely love, and this is that whole idea of the fact that Banner and Hulk are now two separate entities that can communicate with each other. Banner is like screaming in the Hulk suit as it's getting, the Hulk Buster suit as it's getting ripped apart. He's like, come on, big guy, I need you now or never, like, come on. And we see Hulk's face transform in the suit, and he yells, no! And disappears. And Banner's like, what do you mean, no? And then he's like, all right, you big green asshole, I'll do it myself. And then we get this awesome sequence of Banner utilizing the tech in smart ways. Like, he gets his arm ripped off, so he sticks it on the Black Dwarf, and launches it. It uses the launcher on it, sends him into the shield surrounding Wakanda and destroys him. Wonderful. So inventive, and like I said, I just love watching Banner do all this. So, but at the end of it, like I said, it's really the fact that now Banner and Hulk are separate entities living in the same body. They can communicate with each other, and they know what the other is seeing or doing. Brilliant, huge piece of story development and character development for Hulk. Thus, on our honorable mention list, which brings us to number 5, which, again, another way for the old Seaman to cheat because it's a tie. Number 5, of course, for me, in my favorite characters in the movie is a tie because both have similar powers and things that happen with their powers. And I'm of course, talking about Wanda Maximoff's Scarlet Witch and Dr. Stephen Strange's Doctor Strange. One of the things about this movie that I think it'll probably get ripped on a little bit is things have advanced off screen. Right? There's two relationships that are now like full-blown relationships that were like, well, when did that happen? Wanda and Doctor Strange, very much like that, are now super powerful. Tony's suit is totally different. He has new technology. All of these things and advancements in the characters have happened in a 2-year gap. 2 years are missing right now. Where once Civil War ended, Strange, Spider-Man, and Black Panther all took place immediately following the movie. Ragnarok obviously takes place right before Infinity War. So we have this big 2-year gap, and you know there are relationships that are being set up that work very well, so to advance them forward makes sense. And the thing that makes the most sense is to advance forward both Wanda and Doctor Strange power set wise. They've had 2 years. I mean, we saw the jump from Age of Ultron to Civil War for Wanda, and it was wonderful how much she had improved. She has got her full arsenal in this movie, man, and she is awesome. I love watching her use her powers. And there's a sequence where she takes these underground ships and just picks them up and throws them and just wipes out half of the Outrider, army, which is amazing. Like I said, the conceptualization of how she uses them. If she's getting tossed around or she's falling, she'll like do little short blasts, almost like Tony did when he was learning how to fly the suit. That'll cushion her fall. The way she can manipulate things, and I mean, she's strong enough to hold off Thanos. I mean, Thanos is coming, and she holds him off with her powers. I love it. She has 2 of the biggest moments in the movie for me, and both of them are just executed, and she's wonderful. And the same goes for Strange. 2 years have passed now, and he is getting ever closer to becoming Sorcerer Supreme. And in doing that, and look at how far he advanced just in Doctor Strange, because he can use his astral form to read. He has photographic memory. So 2 years pass, he should be a certified magic G. You know what I mean? But he should be unbelievably powerful, and he is. I love that he has the ability to see the future. He plays out over 14 million different versions of what will happen fighting Thanos, only one of which the Avengers win. Which I love. I love that we get to see that and we get to hear him say that, because from that point on, any decision that he makes in the movie must be having a direct impact to making sure pieces are in place for the one outcome where the Avengers win. And the biggest thing with that is the fact that he saves Tony. He gives up the Time Stone and gives it to Thanos to save Tony. And Strange goes, we're in the end game now. This was the only way. And when you watch it, you're just like, God, Strange, why would you do that? But when you think about the fact that he can see the future using the Time Stone, the only way the Avengers win is if everybody that needs to be there in that scenario is there. And clearly Tony must have a humongous role to play for Strange to give up the Time Stone and save him, because if Tony's not there, they won't beat Thanos. So I love that. His power is being advanced. When he fights Thanos, he gets to use the Crimson Bands of Sitdown and the Images of Icons spell to multiply himself. I love his power set. His dialogue, I love when he combats with Tony. I love when he combats with Thanos verbally. Love everything about Doctor Strange and Wanda. Our magic people in this universe, the magic in the movie, definitely a huge win. Which brings me to number 4 on our list, and that is Iron Man. Look, I've said it throughout my entire countdown, that this world and this story, this giant story that we've built for 10 years, has really been Tony's more than anybody. And thus, major role, major impact on Tony's character in this movie. One, I love his new power sets. His suit is awesome, right? It's nanotech, so he's given himself a new chest plate where he can store all the nanites that then become his suit. Very much like Black Panther's. However, very different from what Black Panther's suit can do. It almost makes you wonder if, he talked to Black Panther, or Black Panther gave him any concepts or ideas about technology that he had that maybe Tony took and developed his own. But it's beautiful, man. When it comes on and it just crawls over his whole body, you're like, oh. And then what the nanites can do, the nanites can form into anything that Iron Man wants. At one point, he just goes like this and a shield forms. Another point, he needs to really boost so his legs come together and form one giant rocket booster. He has things that extrude out the back and that he can just shoot out at you. He has this awesome sequence against Thanos where he catches his hand, wraps it up, plants it on the ground, sticks it, comes around, punches Thanos in the face, gives him a cut right here. Very Russian-esque, Rocky IV, if you will. And Thanos just looks at him and goes, all of that for a drop of blood. And then he lays waste to Tony real quick, right? And it's intense, man. I mean, as he's getting punched, you see the nanites can't, respawn Tony's suit, which is really cool. And he does get hit very much like Black Panther. You might see Tony's face and then it covers back up. That just shows you how powerful Thanos is, that the hits that he delivers to Tony and the power is basically causing the suit to fail. So I love the power-ups. I love Tony's new suit in this movie. It's so cool. It looks gorgeous. The CG on it is wonderful. But then on top of that, I just love where Tony ends up by the end of this movie. The whole concept of Thanos has been weighing on Tony for 6-something years since the events in New York. And he references that in the movie, which is wonderful, right? He's like, someone says, when Banner shows up, he's like, what? Say his name again? And he's like, Thanos. And Tony's like, look, man, I've had this guy in my mind for 6 years. I didn't know who he was, but he is the thing. And then to watch what transpires, it just everything that's happening, you can tell there's a ton of weight on Tony the whole time. And then after Thanos snaps his fingers and half the universe gets wiped out, we get the most gut-wrenching sequence in the movie. They kill Peter Parker, and I'm getting choked up just thinking about it. Obviously, the relationship between Peter and Tony has been really, really well done. From Civil War to Spider-Man Homecoming, that kind of father relationship, and Tony just always looking out for Spidey, right? When Spidey gets the iron spider suit, he's like, oh, this is awesome. And Tony's like, Friday, save the kid. And she launches the parachute and sends, Peter off. Again, Tony trying to get Peter away from danger. Granted, it's 2 years later. Peter's probably a junior by now. But he's still a kid, right? Even when you're in high school, you might think you're an adult when you're in your junior, senior year. But in reality, when you get older, you realize that back then you were still a kid. And Tony has that relationship. And once again, Spider-Man doesn't listen. he hops on and he gets there. And from that moment on, Tony, you can see the fear in Tony's eyes. Because Tony knows what Thanos can do because of his visions. And the fact that Thanos started everything that happened to Tony, right? The New York situation happens because of Thanos. And the whole movie, you can just see it in his eyes that he does not want Peter to be there. And Thanos disappears. They're stuck on Titan. They don't see or know, but Thanos snaps his finger and wipes out half the universe. And everyone starts to turn to dust. And it happens to Peter. It starts with him telling Tony, like, Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good. And it is just brutal to watch as he dies and turns to dust right in Tony's arms, man. It's the most heart-wrenching scene in the whole movie for me, and it's because of the Downey performance. It's why Iron Man's my favorite character in the cinematic universe, because Downey is the man. And just the emotion that he pours into the end of this movie, it just hits hard, and so much of it is because of the way Tony responds. So I love his upgrades, I love where he is as a character, and I love the performance that, once again, Downey gives. That's just spectacular. So number 4 on my top 5 list, which brings us to number 3, and we're going to flip over to the children of Thanos, the Black Order, if you will. I am absolutely in love with Ebony Maw. His look is phenomenal. He's creepy. He is like kind of religious nut job cult guy. Like when he talks, the way he talks about Thanos is like this cult love of like a leader. Like the way like cult members like idolize their leaders when they talk about him. That's totally what Ebony Maw does, and I love that. It kind of gives you this like, yeah, this guy's so crazy, he'll do anything for that dude that's also crazy. But visually, he's awesome. He's easily the most powerful of all the children of Thanos. The only way you were going to beat him was to outsmart him or catch him off guard, which is what happens in the movie, which is a brilliant moment. But yeah, like just his power set is unbelievable. I mean, at one point, at the beginning, the car gets thrown at him, and he just goes, car splits in half, and like he just doesn't have to do almost any. There's no energy to anything that he does because he can just will things. I mean, when he's torturing Strange, you are terrified of Ebony Maw. And the way we get rid of him is brilliant. Peter Parker showing up on the ship comes up and he's like, hey, you ever see that really old movie Aliens? Tony's like, swear, one more pop culture reference out of you, kid. Like, you're done. But, of course, what he's referencing in Aliens is when the alien's way too big to deal with. So what does Ripley do? She opens a door and sucks the alien out. So Iron Man blasts a hole in the side of the door right before, Ebony Maw is about to inflict serious damage on Doctor Strange. Sucked right out and, goes frozen space style, the way Marvel freezes all of their characters out in space. So I love that the only way they could beat him was to just kind of trick him and outsmart him in something that he couldn't have seen coming. Because physically, he's probably the second most powerful being in the movie. And I love it. He's just so well executed, like I said, visually, conceptually, power sets. Love Ebony Maw. We're going to stay on the side of the bad guys as we get to my number 2 character from the movie, and that, of course, is Thanos. Look, you hate Thanos, man. 2 minutes into this movie, you hate Thanos. And that's why I love Thanos. He's just so well conceived. It was probably the thing that I was most worried about going into the movie was how well do you handle Thanos? We've been building towards this character, from day one, but really, I mean, a solid, more than 5 years. I mean, the minute Captain America hits theaters, we start building to Thanos, directly, and, we know this. But he's only been on screen for maybe, 2.5 total minutes of screen time. So there was a lot of work to do. Almost to the point where, maybe Thanos should have had a movie himself at some point, to kind of do some of that storytelling. But they do a really good job of it. When he goes to Titan and he uses the Reality Stone to show his old world, you really get a sense of where he's coming from, right? Like, you can understand that from where he is, he knows. Because he told his home world, the only way that we're going to survive what I think is coming, we got to commit mass genocide. We have to wipe out half the population, and Titan will flourish. And no one listened to him, and Titan ultimately ended up being destroyed. Which set Thanos on this kind of journey of, I have to clean the universe up and fix it myself, so that I can live in peace. And yeah, it's whacked and he's absolutely crazy, but like you can understand what his motivations are, even if they are strange. They're directly from the comics, which I love. And yeah, it does. You understand his mentality when he show you that scene. When he has to kill Gamora to get the Soul Stone on Vormir. Oh my god, man. Like, there's a reason Josh Brolin was cast to play Thanos all the way back, at the beginning. Because Josh Brolin's a really good actor. And the mocap on Thanos is brilliant. It really captures everything that Brolin brings, man. And his facial expressions, the torment and the pain that he feels when he's making the decision to kill Gamora. Like Gamora starts laughing at him like, ha, you've gotten all the way here, you've had a plan, and you're not gonna win because you don't love anything. And like just the single tear rolls down his face, man, and he's like, Red Skull is of course on Vormir. He was sent there when the Tesseract blew up in Cap. We find that out, and that he's been on Vormir, and he's kind of the protector of the Soul Stone. He leads people to their deaths until someone can finally get it, which is what happens. So he looks at Gamora, and he's like, he's not crying for him, he's crying for you. And Gamora realizes what's going on. I mean, slows down, goes silent. She's screaming. He throws her off a cliff to get the Soul Stone. But Brolin's acting and his facial expressions and the emotion all plays out through the mocap CGI, which is amazing. And you just feel it. I mean, the power that Brolin has as an actor, he brings a lot of depth to Thanos just on sheer acting ability. Then you add in the fact that he's got a really solid story built, and then throw in the fact that he is an unstoppable, brutal force. I mean, we get the brutality and just the way in which Thanos is right at the very beginning of the movie. When he snaps Loki's neck after looking at Thor first, you just go, oh man, this guy means business. He is terrifying. He is brutal, and he's not going to stop. And you get that tone set at the beginning, and it stays true the whole movie. Literally, anytime anybody is fighting Thanos, you are legitimately worried that they're not going to make it by the end of that fight. I love everything about him. I love the visualization and how he uses the Infinity Gauntlet. The way, like, he can kind of close it and harness, the soul, the Power Stone, to destroy a moon, and then the Space Stone to move the moon, or the Reality Stone to manipulate reality and make it seem like people are dead. Using the Time Stone to rewind time to get the Mind Stone from Vision. To using the Soul Stone to not die. We get this cool scene where he goes to, like, Soul Stone world and talks to little Gamora. And just, I mean, everything about Thanos, he was everything we needed him to be in this movie. He's big, he's strong, he's powerful, he's scary. He has a crew of people who are just as scary. Everything is at stake when Thanos is on screen, and I absolutely love it. But he is number 2, not number 1, because number 1 had to go to one of the good guys, man. And of course, it would have to go to a guy right here on my shirt. Good old Thor. He has the best storyline in the movie. He is the best character far and away, and ultimately might be the most powerful character. Oh god, the Thor arc is so good, man. Like I said, we start the movie picking up where Ragnarok ends. We hear these Mayday calls going on as the Marvel opening, title card comes up, and we understand that, Asgardian ship is in a lot of trouble. By the time we get there, it's already been laid to waste. And Thanos kind of has this monologue, and you just see a body, and he picks it up, and he just starts carrying it like a rag doll. And only until it gets close enough to see the eye patch do we realize it's Thor. They kind of lock Thor up, and he then has to watch as Thanos kills his best friend in Heimdall and his brother in Loki right in front of him, and in brutal fashion. To the point where Thor is like, I will kill you for that. Like, that, it's coming. And it just puts Thor on this, like, revenge mission. And he is charged up. He has these moments where he's charged up, but he's broken. He sits down and has this moment where Rocket's like, are you sure you're okay for this fight, man? Like, you just lost your best friend. He's like, you got any friends? He's like, my best friend just died. Family? Brother just died. My entire planet died. My dad is dead. My mom is dead. Everybody's dead. And you can kind of, it's in Chris Hemsworth's voice as he's saying all of it, like, you can hear him cracking. Thor is ultimately destroyed at the beginning of this movie, which kind of leads him on this path that makes him the most powerful, I think, of all the heroes in the movie. He gets an eye back. I love that he's teamed up with Rocket and Groot. Even though Groot really doesn't do too much in this movie but play video games, Teenage Groot is not very helpful. But he does show up for the biggest moment for Thor. But his relationship with Rocket is great. And you just get all this humor. And I love that they're on this mission together, as they move through the movie. And they play off each other so well and allows Thor to kind of, he's got a game plan, and he kind of is able to talk to Rocket a little bit, and they just have a ton of fun. And then when you get to the Stormbreaker scene where he makes Stormbreaker and then he has Stormbreaker, obviously Groot becomes the arm and cuts off his own arm so that Thor has a arm for the hammer. But just everything about Thor, man. I mean, he gets powered up to the utmost. There's comedy, there's heartbreak, there's just every emotion you could think of, you get in the Thor sequences. Like I said, his relationship with Rocket is great. And just when he shows up, man, he's talking to Cap. He's like, "Oh, it's been a while since I've seen you, Cap." He's like, Cap's like, "Oh, new haircut," and Thor's like, "I see you're copying my beard." Hemsworth is on display as always. And when he gets Stormbreaker, they're probably the two biggest pop moments in the movie. The first time he throws it and just kind of wipes everyone out, or three pop moments. When he comes up, smashes Stormbringer on the ground and just electrically explodes all the Outriders that are in the area. And then, of course, when he throws Stormbringer through the Infinity Gauntlet blast right into Thanos' chest. The moments that got the biggest ovations all belong to Thor. And I love his arc in the movie. Because for a good chunk of it, he's not fighting anybody. He's on a mission to get a new hammer to kind of surge his powers through. And, he goes on this, like, kind of side quest while everyone else is fighting. And I love it because it cuts the tension. It takes you out of somewhere where there's no threat. So I like that they use Thor for that. I like that they allow Hemsworth to go to places, man. Like, he does some great acting in this movie. Like I said, you see him physically, mentally, emotionally broken. And then we see him come around to just being, like, the best version of himself that we've ever seen from a physical power standpoint. So absolutely love Thor. Thus, my number one favorite character of Avengers Infinity War. That's it, folks. We've gotten through all 5, but really 7 characters that I think are just so well done in this movie. That's it, man. Hit those comments below. You tell me what you thought. Who are your favorite characters? There's so many. Everybody gets a little bit to do in this movie. There's a moment or two for everyone. So what characters pop for you, right? Like, I didn't talk about Spidey or the Guardians. There's so many characters in this movie. There are definitely more than 5, or in my case, 7. So please hit the comments below. Let me know what you thought. As always, if you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. Love those. And as always, if you are new here, please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the little bell so you get alerts every time I make a new video. For the Seaman Cinema Sit-Down, I am the Seaman, and I am signing off. Peace!